I'm today with Ashkar Audet. He's a mentor for men and he's traveling the world right now. And we've met through Instagram. We've become friends really fast, and we shared our own healing journey through a lot of audio messages. We saw that we resonate a lot, but that I work mostly with women and he works with men. So today I brought him in our podcast to share from his own expertise, and he will teach us a little bit of how to connect with yourself and how to connect with your intuition so you can find your own answers within. So welcome, Ashkar. How are you feeling, and where are you traveling right now?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's 7 a.m. over here in Mazatlan, Mexico. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm doing pretty well, actually. It's been a couple of months away from home, and I'm looking forward to going home back down to Melbourne in Australia in a couple of days. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to go home, to be honest with you, but it's been a truly amazing trip.
Cool. And what was the goal of your trips? Share with our listeners.
So I work with a marine conservation organization called Sea Shepherd. So they go all around the world, working with governments in collaboration with governments to protect the oceans, save critically endangered animals, fight illegal fishing and things like that. For me, this particular trip was to go work in the upper Gulf of Mexico, which is the Sea of Cortez, to help the Mexican government to protect this small little area, which is being put in as a refuge to protect a small little porpoise, which is like a little dolphin. It's called the
Hmm.
vaquita, and there's believed to be less than 10 of them left in the whole world, and they only live in
Wow.
this little region in the top of, yeah, the Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately for me, our boats had a lot of engine problems, and over the last almost 3 months now, I've only been out at sea for 10 days. So it's a bit of a heartbreaker for me, but
Wow.
yeah, it's been a huge change. And yeah, it's just been about adapting and learning to live with the constant change, the instability. Yeah, it's been challenging, but I can quite happily say that I've managed to push my way through it with my practices and ways of dealing with that.
Mm-hmm. How cool is that? Like, how cool that you're saving like 10-minute dolphins, like the only dolphins of this species that are in the world. Like, it's amazing. The work that he is doing is like so diverse and so powerful, and like he's working he used to do circles in men's circles in Australia, and now he's doing circles for men on the ship that he's traveling to save this dolphin. So like it's like then you're like taking 100% contribution
Well,
to everything around you. So tell me a little bit about the circles. How were they? Like full moon ceremonies you were telling me about, right?
yeah, so um, about 12, 13, 14 months ago, when we first met, really, is when I started to connect with the moon cycle, and I started to notice that things were, well, over the last 2 years, really, I started to notice that things were um, changing depending on where the moon is at, whether it's full or new, and the different flows and feelings of the energy. But yeah, it was around the same time that we met,
Mm-hmm.
July last year or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I really started to connect with it, and I decided that I would try doing some sort of ritual or ceremony or something, and I didn't like really take it from anywhere. I just kind of took some practices that I knew, from learning from other amazing people over the years, and put them together. And for me, my full moon ceremony is mostly, um, the main part of it is setting intentions for the next for the next cycle. So sometimes that might be writing down your intentions on a little piece of paper and meditating on them and then burning them in a fire, or it might be burying them or throwing them away into the sea or just keeping them in your
Mm.
journal. So I do really resonate well with like very symbolic rituals, things that have hidden meanings to why you're doing it. You know, you burn your intuitions into existence, or you burn away the things that you're wanting to let go of and move on from. So yeah, I generally will do some meditation and some breath work as well. I also use some essential oils as well, which is quite helpful too. And
Mm-hmm.
more recently, I've also been including cacao, raw cacao, into my rituals as well when I'm able as well.
Wow. You've made me like I want to do a ritual right now. Like you are sharing about them in such a powerful way. Like I love to include all these elements as well. Like the most elements you include, the most present you can be, and the more all your senses will awake. Like you use essential oils or scented sticks for your smell. You use crystals or things to touch, like feathers or things like that for your touch. You use candles or a low light for your vision, and songs or beautiful, like relaxing sounds on the background, or even a sound bath, and writing. All these tools that can help like have a full immersion into a ritual. And we were talking a little bit more about this, and we were talking how rituals for us keep us safe and grounded, no matter how where are in the world. You are traveling right now to all these different places, and rituals brought to you this sense of groundedness and being present to yourself and help you being stable. And this is how it's for me as well. Like no matter, even if I want to do like one short meditation or write a little bit my thoughts, like that single ritual for a day helps me feel grounded and connected and be more intentional. Like even with the you said you're setting your intentions during the full moon, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I set mine during the new moon, and on the full moon I do my releasing. Like um I work with dancing, with movement, with trauma work to release things that I feel I block myself. And during the full moon, I write my intention, I meditate on them, and I'm really curious. How was for you in this 1 year or 2 years? Like since you started working with the moon, did your connection with the moon and with these rituals change over time?
uh, yeah. I would say that the rituals have definitely changed and evolved. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, initially I was just doing it with myself for myself. I think on the second one, there was this young guy that I met when I was in Harvey Bay, up working on the whale watching when I first met you. Um, I included him on one. I think it might have been my second one. Um, and that was super powerful, actually, to include him. He'd never done anything like that. You
Mm-hmm.
could tell it was like a big impact for him. We went down to the beach and lit a fire. It was really cool. But other than that, I've predominantly just been doing it on my own until I got here onto the ship. So yeah, there's been at least over the last couple of months a pretty big change because, well, I've been more hosting or like facilitating the circles
Mm-hmm.
rather than participating in it so much myself, rather than just sitting there with that time. But I always make sure that I do also, maybe it's not on the full moon itself, but
Mm-hmm.
in some time, a couple of days on either side, I'll always make sure that I sit down and make sure that I actually had my intentions set correctly, and sit down and do some breathing and make sure that everything's right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has evolved. But I think the the thing I really love about it is that it keeps me accountable. Accountability is something I have definitely struggled with in the past, but having having the moon actually there, like it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care. It doesn't care what day of the week it is. It doesn't care how much you've got on its plate. It you've got on your plate. It always comes every month. Like
I was
so.
asking you, how your relationship changed to this, because for me, like, the more I started doing them, the more I started manifest, because the more I discovered what feels good for me, what how to improve them. Like in the beginning, I would set the intention, and maybe after 1 2 months, one of my intention like got manifested or something like that. But then the more I started to become intentional with them and add more elements and use crystals and oils and meditate, and also like thinking, visualizing them every night before going to sleep, then it started to manifest faster and faster into my reality. And it's a beautiful transition. Basically, it develops, doing rituals, it develops the relationship you have with yourself. And I'm curious how it is for you to lead men in rituals. How is this work with men? As you said, like most of them, I imagine that are not like the type that are doing frequently rituals or are connected to their intuition or something like that. But we were talking, like when we met, we were talking how both in Australia and in Romania, men are usually disconnected from what they feel. Mostly they are in their heads, they are on the doing, more traditional role. And now lately, through your work, you're starting to decondition them and bring this and bring more awareness to men's lives. So how is this for you and for them? How is this work?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, since I've been here on the ship, yeah, I haven't been exclusive to men because there's just not enough people here, and I
Mm,
think it's really important for everyone to get the experience of the rituals. But
of course.
um, yeah, back home, I work with somewhere between two or three and six young men, as in teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, that's an area that's really untapped. Like, there's not really a lot of support for young men, and the support that is available is not the kind of support that I'm offering as well, about connecting with yourself and um, yeah, the more spiritual side of things, I guess. Um, I have actually found it absolutely amazing. I've been blown away at the the ability of young guys to really connect with themselves and go deep. Actually, I think that a lot of people would be really surprised at what kind of conversations you're able to have when you actually give them the time of day and give them the confidence and the freedom to really speak
Mm,
truthfully and speak from the heart and give them the tools and encouragement to do so. Um, yeah, I in January I actually ran a small little camp and I took three young guys up into the mountains, and we had a really powerful day, where we did basically an entire day of rituals and practices, based well designed basically to help them connect within themselves, most form like for mostly the most
mm-hmm.
foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, connecting with themselves, and also connecting with the earth as well, and the country, as a second, and then thirdly, to be able to connect with each other and share vulnerably, what's going on for them and where they're feeling and where they're at, and slowing down and noticing the smaller things, like noticing as you go for a walk through the bush, noticing the little ants that are carrying a little bug that's 100 times their weight in this nice little line, or the wallaby or the kangaroo that comes up and is over there behind the bush watching you, or the dragonfly that lands on your foot because you're sitting there so peacefully. Just noticing those things and connecting in with the spirituality of the land as well, was a huge, huge part in that. And yeah, we did a whole day. We fasted for 22 hours, I think it was. So without food as well, which was a huge challenge for them. But I was just, yeah, I was blown away that they really took on every challenge that I put in front of them, and was so keen to learn and just absorb everything, because these kind of opportunities aren't available. Unfortunately, it just doesn't exist. So I'm very, very keen to get my work out there and to start to practice on a more official and legitimate way. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's been a lot of things in my life that have prohibited that. But I'm certain that it's coming, and it's just a matter of training, and it's a matter of yeah, really just making that decision, and putting that in the forefront of my desires and my goals, and to yeah, use my intuition to bring it in. But yeah, I guess I'm just not quite ready yet, but it's around the corner for sure.
Yes. Like first of all, you when you were talking about the day with the guys, like you were talking with so many details. I felt like I was there, like with the ladybug and everything. Like it's about presence indeed, and especially for men. Like women are more intuitively and innately, look at the beautiful sky, look at the how the wind is flowing through our hair, and like men are usually more like with the next task with the next thing they need to do, and they're more practical and more, and not necessarily in the moment. And presence is such a huge key in bringing them from their mind to their bodies, like noticing the little sensation, noticing the little things around you. And it's really beautiful, and especially with young men, like you are impacting the whole trajectory of the rest of their lives. Like that's huge, and I'm sure that as healers, like we have our own healing journey. That's why we became a healer, because we had our own stuff to work on. But this stuff doesn't end when you become a healer, but on the contrary, I feel like they start to up level. And because you need to hold space for more and more people, more and more challenging situations, to show up, to record podcasts, to show your face on the internet, so it requires more of you. So of course that there will be more things deep, shadows from your past that will come for you to heal. And I do believe as well in the right timing and the right thing. I've leaned into the retreats for almost a year, but I don't feel it's yet my time. Like I really want to be face to face with women and share my practices, but I feel that something still need to evolve in me so I can do these things. I do online sessions and on Zoom, but my next step is to also lead women retreat, because like I feel face to face is the most powerful connection. But I have a
Yeah.
resistance, and I have a fear, and I have something that I want to work on before leading this type of format as well. So I totally understand you on this. And you said something really beautiful in the beginning. You said that when you connect with yourself and when you connect with your intuition, you'll find that you have your answers within. And tell me a little bit more about that. What is your experience with connecting with yourself and with your intuition to find your answers with it?
Well, I mean, one of the things I was thinking about before was that, and it kind of ties into that question earlier about how things evolved with the full moon ceremonies. But um, that's definitely one of the things that I definitely noticed as soon as I started actually putting down, like making those intentions each month and writing them down and doing whatever I'm doing with them. Um, I noticed that those intuitions that I, well, not intuitions, those intentions that I set, I because I had them written down, I was also each full moon, I'm looking back at the previous month and what I had written down, and I was finding that I was and am finding that I've been like in achieving like 80% at least of those intentions each month. And like looking at that, it's like, wow, okay, this actually works. Like
Mm-hmm.
making taking that time and connecting and breathing deeply inside and into my heart, I was able to firstly find out what I actually want to do. Firstly, like what is
Mm-hmm.
important for me for the next month, and what does that look like, and then actually be able to have that time to set them in motion. So writing it down is a really great way to get it inside in a
Mm-hmm.
subconscious level. And speaking it is also a really great way to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I've used a little bit of, is I did a course in EFT, the emotional freedom technique, which is
Mm-hmm.
about physically tapping on energy meridians on the body. And that's also been a part of that journey as well, and bringing in the good things and the things that I want to follow, and I think to find out what the like to use the intuition and to use the I guess manifestation, has been, yeah, about actually always making sure that I have time for myself, and that's been something that I've struggled with, in past years. But yeah, I'm definitely no saint in that regard, but I'm definitely getting better, and that's been really evident for me in how I've been able to manifest things and how I've been able to um, use my intuition to know which direction to choose, and which yeah, the answers to the questions of what am I doing, and following through with those intentions that I set as well. um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love your techniques, and they are really simple but powerful at the same time. And it's all about commitment, as you said. Like you can write your intention 1 month, and you see that it doesn't work, and you can like give it all up. But it's all about keep doing it, keep practicing until you become better at it, until you see what works for you, what feels good for you, and I feel like journaling is like the best tool for you to prove to yourself how much you change. Like I used to journal my thoughts intuitively since I was 14 years old. I still have all my journals.
Mm.
So if I caught the
Wow.
mind saying to myself that you haven't changed at all, then I'm looking at all those journals, and I even from last year, if I read one of my journals, I see how much my thinking improved, how much my life improved, how much my manifestations I started to have in my reality. So the mind will trick you all the time that you are not enough, that you still need to work on yourself, that you have so many things to do, and that you'll never ready, but once you keep this process and even you, as you are doing, 1 time a month, once per month, you are writing your thought there, your intentions, and next month you're looking back and you see how much you manifest, in fact, how much things you change, in fact, at yourself. So that's a really powerful technique that I highly recommend you start doing as a practice. And also speaking exactly as you said, like when you talk about what you're currently working on, like usually in Romania we have this belief that if you're like talking to somebody else about your plans, you will jinx them. So you need to keep it everything for yourself, you need to be quiet about them, you need to do your work, and then just meet with your friends and like brag around, did you know that this month I did this and that and that. But no, that it's just a really old limiting belief, and we
Yeah.
grow together. So if, for example, I I will give you a practical example. I used to give all my money to my family and to donate and to be really overgiving. I was taught like to be I was raised as a good girl, so 30 years of my life I didn't had any money because I was giving to my younger brother, to my mother, to everybody, and I wasn't left with any money in my bank account. So in order for me to rewire this overgiving that I tried for so many years, to not give money, to hide my money for myself and do all these things, I couldn't do until I told my partner, like, I want to rewire this overgiving. So can you make me accountable every time when you see that one of my members of my family, or if you see that I want to donate a large sum of money, can you reflect back at me that I am changing this pattern, and to do to have to do a second thought to it, maybe to sleep on it and give an answer or take an action the second day. And the fact that I asked for help, that I was able to be vulnerable about my own challenge and ask him and keep myself accountable through him, changed everything. Like, I was finally able to start raising money, to not overgive, to change this pattern that I was trying to change by myself for so many years. So saying what you want to change at yourself and what you want to achieve, even your goals, like I'm saying, like I'm sharing with all my girlfriends every time we meet, that I want to do a retreat and I want to do it. And they're all like, yeah, just do it, because you're like sharing with us for months and years that you want to do a retreat. Just do it. And it really helps to manifest things faster when you write about them and you share about them with the people around you. So these are really good techniques. Thank you for sharing with us from your own experience. And if let's say a man is listening to us right now, and he's never done healing work and he's resistant, let's say, and also scared, and it's normal to feel like this, with all the conditioning that men don't need to cry, or you need to be tough because you are men. What would you recommend someone in this position to do?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Mm,
Um, I I would I would recommend I would say step outside your comfort zone. Step into that discomfort. It's not going to be an easy thing to do. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but
mm-hmm.
um, I would encourage any guy to step directly face on into that discomfort, because within the face of discomfort lies an opportunity to level up and to grow within yourself. And once you start that ball rolling, it's much easier to continue. It's always going to be the hardest part, just taking that first step. So whether that first step is looking up and seeing if you can find a local men's group to support you and talk, other other guys who you would never have thought could open up and talk about such deep and vulnerable things. You would be absolutely astonished and amazed, like I was when I did my first men's circle, that these guys are actually real humans too. They're not these big hunky guys that don't talk about emotions and don't cry, and that's not what we are meant to be as men. So if you can get yourself to something like that, that would be of great benefit to you. But even if you're not ready for that, even just finding a meditation, even if it's just a 5-minute meditation. You don't need to tell anyone that you're doing it, but just do a 5-minute meditation on intention setting, or just breathing, because the breath is actually far more important than we realize, and you can connect in with yourself a lot easier if you just breathe. It seems simple, but with some simple breathing techniques, again, something that you can easily find on YouTube. Just look up breathing techniques. The box breathing techniques are really good and
Mm-hmm.
really easy, one that anyone can do. You can do it in just 3 minutes or 2 minutes. It doesn't take long. and just doing that, even if it's once a week or once a month, anything that you can start. Just because one thing that really bothers me is like, some people will say like, take veganism for example, because I'm a vegan, so that's easy. So people will say to me, "Oh, I can't go vegan because of cheese." My answer is, go vegan except for cheese then, because that's
Mm-hmm.
still taking that step. So it's the same, like, oh, I can't do this because it's too much. Well, start with something really, really, really tiny. It doesn't matter how small it is, so long as you're starting, and so long as you don't go backwards. And I mean, it's okay to take a couple of steps back, so long as you then come forward. But it's not it's not all or nothing. That's what, I guess, what I'm trying to get across here. That it's not only, you do all this stuff or you don't do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can start with something as little as a 2 minute breath work every, once a week, and then notice the difference, because you will notice the difference. Even the smallest thing that you start doing, you'll start noticing the difference. And I mean, the more that you can incorporate, the more practices and breath work or meditation, or there's so many different modalities out there that are helpful in their own way. But yeah, the more things that you can include, the more you're going to be able to connect with yourself. And the more you're able to connect with yourself and go within, the more you're going to be able to follow through on your intentions and your intuition and know what to do and find happiness, basically,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, so three basic steps would be recognize that it's uncomfortable because you're shedding an old pattern, an old personality. The second would be start small, like start with even a breath or awareness or presence or a meditation. And the third would be find a support group in your community, find a group of men that are more conscious, find retreats for men. There are Instagram accounts for men, and there is also Ashkar that is working with men, and I highly recommend you work with him because he's amazing, and his content, his work, his wisdom is really valuable. And my dream would be to do a retreat together. You bring your men, I bring my women, and we do like
Oh,
a we do like a retreat party together, and that would be like really awesome. So
oh my
how
God, that's
can
amazing.
yeah,
What a
yeah.
great
Like
idea.
I just saw this while you were talking about advice for men. I was like, yeah, this is something that I see right now, and I would love to do that. And tell our listeners how they can find you and how they can work with you, and what are you facilitating right now, and what are you going to be offering in the future as well.
Well, I'm I'm in Australia, so a lot of your listeners are on the other side of the world to me. But the best way to keep in touch and follow what I'm up to is to follow me on Instagram, which is The Journey Flows. And yeah, I think in the future, I would I will be expanding my work to work with all different ages of men. But for now, I'm mostly working with younger men, aged 15 to 25, is kind of the bracket that I'm planning to work and will be working with moving forward. And yeah, I mean, at the moment, I don't have anything that's currently set up and happening. But yeah, I would like to be doing Zoom calls with, yeah, sacred men's circles, to talk about all the juicy stuff, basically, all
Mm.
the deep, juicy, tender stuff, in a really safe and beautiful, protected environment where we can all be safe and yeah, hold each other in that space of vulnerability.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having an Instagram account and being having Zoom, is that you can connect with people from all around the world. And if you are from Australia, you can go and work with him directly. But if you are not from Australia, then in the future, why not hold these sessions on Zoom, like, and do circles
Yeah.
on Zoom, even if the energy is not the same as face to face. But I find it's really powerful, especially when uh, different people unite at the same through the same rituals through different part of the world. Like, I always feel the meditation in more intense, the practices that I'm doing more intense. So, like, a community can be anywhere, not only the place that you are at. So that
Yeah.
would be something really beautiful to offer. Also, sessions on Zoom through your
Yeah.
Instagram. So I will leave the link for Ashkar in the details of the podcast. It was really fun to meet you for the first time face to face, and thank you for listening to us. I'm sure that you had some pretty valuable insights from our talk today. And thank you for being with us today and for sharing your wisdom. And I will hope to do another episode together after you start to do your retreats to tell us how it is and how are things going.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you so much for having me on board as well, and for this chat. It's been actually really nice. A lot
Yes.
easier than I thought. It's been great. Yeah, yeah, it's been really great. So yeah, thank you so much for everything, and for finally, it's so good to finally meet you as well. Like after all this year, all these voice messages and chats, and finally actually have a like back and forth conversation.
Exactly. Now we have a Zoom conversation from Mexico to Romania, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for everything, and thank you for listening to us. And I will see you on my next podcast episode. Bye bye.